What we're looking at is ukulele chord fingerings for different situations. Different situations meaning what key we're in, or what chords are in the song that tell us that that chord fingering that we thought we knew doesn't quite work. And so I have a question for you. When you first picked up the ukulele, did you pick up a chord book or some instruction book? And I'm seeing heads nodding, that's great. And so when you see a chord grid, if you will, those four lines and the horizontal lines for frets, and they have black dots in them, how do you know where to put your fingers? I mean, you know where to put them, but which fingers do you use? Sorry about that. Which fingers do you use?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay, great. Oh, that's why you're here. Good. What my experience was when I first started playing guitar and even ukulele, I had some players that I talked with to ask them how they did stuff, and so they would show me how to play a G chord on the guitar, a C chord on the uke, but sometimes they would play another chord, and I would think that's the only way to play that chord. That's the way that person played it. And if you look at those books, sometimes they tell you which fingers to use. However, that's not universal. So that's my goal here, is for you to have a better understanding of what you can do, changes you can make, should the occasion arise, and I'm sure it will. So, could everybody play a G chord? All right, good. Now, my handout here, I have just as an example, we can do, give me that old time religion. That's a standard G, C, and D7 song. Page 90. My book is falling apart. And what I did in my handouts is describe the layout of the chord and put letters in the dots, the black dots there, meaning I for index, N for middle, and R for ring, and P for pinky, but I don't think any of the chords this session will use the pinky at all. Could be wrong, we'll see. So let's take a look at Give Me That Old Time Religion, and if you're playing a G chord and the next chord is D7, what would you do? Do you remember? Don't look at the book. Just make your D7 chord. There you go.
I anchor it with my ring finger and go to the D7 and pick my ring finger.
So what does your D7 look like then? Is that your index and middle?
Yep.
Good. And you too? So if you look at your G chord, you'll see that your index and middle are right there. And that pair of fingerings, if you will, either index, middle, or middle ring, happens a lot on the uke. And not only in this chord, but if you take that index-middle combination, move it up one string to the fourth and second strings, there's your D7 chord. All right, so let's just go through it one time. Nice and easy pace here. And we'll just do it just to get comfortable going to that D7 chord, because I'm going to change it all. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time C religion. Gee, it's good enough for me. Let's do it again. Give me that old time religion. Give me that D7 old time back to G religion. Give me that old time C religion. G. It's good, D7 up for G. All right, good. Okay, so there's an example in the key of G where we would play that D7 with the index and middle fingers. Okay? That makes some sense, right? So if you go to the key of C, let's go to page 82, 5'2", Eyes of Blue. Now, here's a case where we are going to go to D7, and we have to go to a G7 after that. Okay? So, we have several chords before that though. So from the C chord, we're going to go to E7. Okay, so our index is on the 4th string, 1st fret, middle finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, ring finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret. There's your E7 chord. Alright? And then we're going to go to A7. So all you have to do to get to A7 is move your index finger to the 3rd string, 1st fret, and let go of the other 2 fingers. Keep them close by though. Okay? That's foreshadowing. Alright, so there's your A7. Now, ideally, your middle and ring fingers are they've just lifted off the fingerboard of the uke. You're going to put them right back down on the 2nd and 4th strings and let go of the index finger. You have a D7 chord. Now, that's obviously different from that first D7 we played. Same exact notes, different fingers. And then, from the D7, we're going to go to G7. Voila! You just take those 2 fingers as a unit, move them down 1 string, we're back to that G position, add your index finger on the 1st fret, and you have a G7 chord. And then we're going to end up on C, 3rd fret. So what we can do, any questions about that? What we're doing is keeping things very concise. Moving no fingers before it's time, and trying to make things flow real comfortably. Okay? So if we do this just real slowly here, without really thinking about the song per se, let's just do a strum about that speed. 2, 3, we're on C. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go to E7. 1, 2, 3. A7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more. 2, 3. And D7. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So that's how the whole song goes. And the beauty of 5/2 is that chord progression of C, E7, A7, D7, G7 repeats 4 times. The timing is a little different in one of the lines, but the chords, there's nothing new to learn. You learn the first line, you got the whole song. All right? So we're not even really here to learn how to play the song. I just want to look at the chords that we're faced with. Okay, now things get stickier in a song like Edelweiss. So let's take a look at that. Page 75. Okay, so this song is in the key of G, and if we look at, without playing the song, just look at the chords we're faced with, right? They're not hard. However, they can get a little tricky to play them. So we have a G chord, right? So whenever we have a G major chord, we're going to go to D7. It's a simple procedure of just jumping those 2 fingers up 1 string, right? And then back to G. To C, ring finger, 3rd fret, 1st string, back to G. Now watch what happens here. A minor 7, E minor 7. Ring finger, all it has to do is lift and play all 4 notes. Okay, so you see how that G chord and the E minor 7 are very similar. Just by lifting 1 finger, you get that chord. So we're not asking the fingers that we need to move at all. Okay? All right, so then from that, we're going to go to D7. Well, guess what? You're there. Just jump up 1 string, and you're at D7. Okay? Back to G. Back to D7. back to G, to C, back to G, D7, G. That's the first half of the song. So you hardly have to move. What happens with this song, let's see, we got, oh yeah, so now we're at the middle of the song where you go to D7, blossom of snow, let me bloom and grow. This also lays out just the way it's written. So you've got blossom of snow, may you G, bloom and grow, C, bloom and A7, A major, grow, right? That's a middle finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and the index finger on the first fret of the third string. What are you going to do here? You got to go to a D major chord.
Stick your ring finger down.
Stick your ring finger down, and okay, if we do that, we get this lovely little D major 7 chord. But I like where you're going with that.
Pick up your index finger, though. Yeah.
If you pick up your index finger?
Wait, no, you go into A to, no, D to, oh, yeah, go into D.
Right.
Yeah, you slide your index
Well,
down, yes, yes.
I'm glad I asked that question because you have basically what, if you have my handout, you'll see it says D major a different way. What I'm suggesting is you add your ring finger just as you said, but move that pointer finger 1 fret forward so it's also on the second fret. We got decent viewing on them?
You get used to it.
One of our participants said, you get used to it. Well, that's true. You will. You will. Now, so, let's back up. What I'm suggesting there is on the D7 chord, which we have where your index and middle fingers playing, right? Blossom of snow, may you, then G, bloom and grow. Got to go to, let's see, C, bloom. Now, hold it just a second. Check this out. Your C means your index and middle fingers are ready to play a chord. They're free to go somewhere. No big deal for them to just get on with their business. And the 4th string 2nd fret and 3rd string 1st fret give you your A chord, grow for, and then go for D major. Then you go to D7, right? Right. So index finger lifts off, Now, you can't just hop back to the G if your index and ring, index and middle were playing it, right? So here's where you have to do what's called a trade-off. There's no other way you can get there except to slide your ring finger forward to the 3rd fret and bring the other 2 fingers in. Let's see. Actually, from that D chord, if you've ever taken a workshop from Jim Beloff, he was the first person I ever saw do a G chord using the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, middle on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and ring on the 1st string 2nd fret. Now, the nice thing about doing that way is you don't have to do a little dance to get to the G chord. But wait, there's more. The next chord you need is a D minor. Okay? Your middle finger's on the 2nd fret already. Your pointer finger is free to go where you tell it to go. Ring finger will do what you tell it to do. It's also on the right fret, just the wrong string. And you go to D minor. You might try your D minor with a middle ring index. You did it backwards there? You did ring middle.
Oh, okay,
That's okay. So,
so like this?
yeah, but it's ring finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret. There you go. Yeah, so again, there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. However, if we're thinking about trying to apply the logic here of keeping the chord shape somewhat as a guide, middle jumps to the 4th string 2nd fret. From the G chord, right? Ring catches the 3rd fret, 3rd string 2nd fret, and pointer 2nd string 1st fret. Okay? Right? And then we're going back to C. So let's back up here. That 3rd line from the D7, and right in the middle of that line, blossom. See that? Blossom of snow may you, right? G, bloom and grow, C chord. Right, bloom and A, grow for D, F, D7, G with the pinky, little G minor, D minor, I'm sorry, vice, C, little vice. Here's where another trade-off. We're used to playing C with the ring finger. Don't have to do that. However, that's definitely fine. Edelweiss. What I'm doing to catch the C chord, ring fingers on the 3rd fret, and I'm leaving it there, and adding my pointer and middle on the 3rd frets as well, on the 2nd and 3rd strings. Well, you could bar it, but that you don't need to. Again, whatever you decide to do, go after it. And what I'm after here is giving you options. That's all. And I'm asking you to take a look at using fingers you're not used to using. It's not something you're going to get like that. Okay? Any questions about what we've been doing? Okay, well, we'll keep going.
I use pinky on C a lot.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, good. So we had a participant say she uses pinky on C a lot.
Because that says the other finger's already the one ring.
Well, that's a good point. It frees up the other 3 fingers to go where they ought to go. I think there's a lot of logic in that. Doesn't mean that that's why I would do it. Because there's not full of logic here. Some logic. All right? So once again here we have the C chord either with the pinky or the ring. Let's use the ring. That's the A, do, C minor, vice, it looks like that, right? Then back to G chord. Now see, if doing it this way, you're not in position for the G chord. With me? If you use your pinky, you are. Nice. G chord is a piece of cake. Because your ring finger is right where it needs to be. Okay, so I know you're not going to sleep tonight. Just pinky ring. Where's it go? But that's the beauty of it. It just gives you. It opens up your possibilities for getting those fingers a little bit more flexible. So from the C chord with the pinky this time. C minor, vice, G chord, bless my D7, homeland for G. So, if you end up back with the G, with the pinky, if you found a way to make that work, good for you. It doesn't quite work for me, but Edelweiss. How did you get to the pinky G? I'm just curious. Like from the C minor? Do you remember? So we had... Right. Well, the logic of that 3rd fret C minor with the ring finger on the G on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, is it's already there for you to go back to G. Do that again? I'm just watching what you're doing. I love to watch other people do stuff.
2 fingers and then this one.
Oh wait, how'd you, well, we're going from a C minor.
Yeah, which was.
Yeah, okay, good. Now ring finger, okay. I'm not exactly sure what you did. Use middle ring, pinky, right?
I just slid them up.
Yeah. Oh, I see, right. Yeah, I think you made a little more work for you, but again, if that's what is comfortable, I urge you to do it. Because he slid the C minor back 1 fret, and then brought the pinky over to the 3rd fret. And so that way his middle finger was in the right place.
Either way.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I like the way you're thinking. So the important thing is to try this stuff out and make it work. All right? So that's the end of the D7 crazies. And there are other songs, I think, well, any song in the key of G is going to be worth looking at.